Namaste everyone. I'm very happy to be with Jonas Masetti, also known as Vishvanatha. He is an accomplished Vedanta Acharya in Brazil and pretty much all over the world. There is a lot of wisdom that he has to share, and he was my gurubhai. We studied in the same course with Pujya Swami Dayananda Saraswati. I'm going to pretend like I don't know you at all.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you a few questions for the benefit of the listeners. So I'm going to go over to the other side. Thank you. What is it that brought you to Vedanta?
Well, as you know, I'm from Brazil. And in Brazil, we don't have any contact with the Vedic culture, despite yoga and Western astrology that's also connected to Vedic culture. So, in my case, there was no connection in terms of the idea that Vedanta exists or that a Swami, a sadhu exists or a guru. Nothing this is available. But at the same time, the human problem is the same everywhere. And I was around my 20s when I was ending university. I was a mechanical engineer. And I had my own company on the stock market. And I used to have a lot of different clients that were like on their old ages, on the end of their career. And they were like looking up from everybody that lives there. And I used to be very close to them because I was working like to big companies and all that. And it was more common than not see that these people that were like the model of our society were not really happy people. They would take a lot of pills to sleep. They would have very difficult relations at home. They would have no idea about what is to live without stress. And when I saw my life being the same as their lives after 20, 30 years, I said something's wrong. Because I had everything that the society told me to do. I did. I had a girlfriend, a home, a car, everything, a job. But at the same time, I wasn't happy, and I was seeing that the future was unhappiness also. Then something went strange inside of me, and I started a pursuit that I did not know where it's going to end. So it led me to yoga because somehow I have this confidence that yoga could help me to relieve the stress in my body and mind. And from that yoga class, thanks God, my first teacher, Santosh, he was also a Vedanta teacher. So I could get all the basics, the principles of Vedanta, and then from that I catch on. I felt very connected to Pujya Swamiji, not because I had a relations as such, because I only was there as a student, and I talked to him maybe 10 times, 20 times in my whole life. But at the same time, every time that I was going to talk to him, it was very significant. And it seems that he knows me for a long, long time. And I also had a lot of space inside of me to trust him. So since the first time I went to talk to him, he looked in my eyes and said, "Boy, everything is fine. Relax." So he would give this energy saying that there was no problem at all. And that is some sort of attitude that a person that is looking for this knowledge should find, not should have, because you have to see the problems that you are facing. But you should find an attitude that everything is fine inside of you. So every time I met him, it was like a relief for my mind that everything is fine, everything is in place. I have a sampradaya, a tradition where I can trust, and I'm there. I'm doing my sadhanas. Swamiji, am I doing correctly? Yes, everything is fine. Just keep doing. So he was like a safe sharanam, a refugee where I could just go into when my own mind would create troubles for me. So like this, I think it was the main memory that I have is him being this sharanam, not only for me, but for everybody, So he was there, we were fine.
we have groups of people who study part-time, who are busy with their jobs, and then there is the 3-year course. So what is the advantage of studying while you are pursuing other things in life and doing part-time classes?
Actually, if anybody asks me how they should study, I would always say part-time. Because people think that spirituality is some sort of magic wand that you go to the ashram and you come back free. But actually, the way Dakshinamurti, the teachers, the cosmic order, rules, is that your life, it's your school. So whatever you are doing, has a purpose in your own growth. So that's the way I see it. So when I was studying, I was working in my own company, I was living with my grandmother, I had to deal with clients, with friends, with girlfriend, and in all that situations, the fact that I have to apply whatever I was learning to my behavior would make me go faster. So I would say that the 3-year course is an exception on this Jagat for some people that are ready to study more in a different rhythm, But it's not really something that will give you knowledge straight away. Also, you can see, even in any 3-year course, not only mine, there will be a lot of people that just came to know Vedanta there, and it's not enough. Because you need to live and you need to get the maturity that you don't have time or space to do that on a 3-year course. So I would say that studying together with a normal life, it's the normal process that a person would pass, And maybe if the desire comes, if the person feels he's ready, why not do a 3-year course? But not out of, let me go out of this world and study because this is the only solution. This is not healthy.
You are from a different country and a different culture. What helped you to embrace the Vedic tradition, and what were your challenges in embracing the Vedic tradition?
That's a good question. Well, definitely some Purva Janma Samskara was there. In other words, there were some impressions from past life because in my case, specific case, it's not only that I enjoyed Vedanta, but that I enjoyed all the Vedic culture. Even wearing dhoti and things, I would feel very comfortable with it. So the first time I came to India, it was like returning home, Although I have the feeling that I'm not at home when I'm here in India, because in this life I was born there. But at the same time, there was something in me that really understand deeply, like the energy of this society. So this was one advantage that I had. Another thing is that probably the students here in India, they don't have the possibility to admire the value of this tradition, the value of our teachers. How rare is to have a teacher that is able to speak Vedanta in a common language, maybe in your same city or wherever. And for us, when I arrive here and suddenly somebody says, I'm going to teach you puja, it's like somebody says, you won the lottery, You become very happy. Then you learn something that you can take home. So all this give a big advantage because it becomes certainly a priority in your mind. So you can do it with all your heart and everything. Well, the disadvantage is that, I'd put 2 disadvantages. One is when you come to this culture and you see that you have a different background and understanding, there is the possibility that some people would be prejudiced against you. Like because you were not born in Bharata, you cannot speak the proper Sanskrit and all that, So this I faced a couple of times, but thanks God I did not listen to anybody. I just did whatever I do, and I had a lot of people that would support me also. But this could be a disadvantage because if you want to feel embraced and you have like a heritage, traditional, millennial, people who don't want a blonde guy in blue eyes to come and sit in the temple. He does not know what he's going to do. So you have to overcome that. This is something that all the foreigners have to do. And the other thing is that our societies in the West is very spoiled. Spoiled in terms of like mental healthness, values. So while for the Indians it's very easy to understand what is like the love of a family, what it means to be part of a group, you know, for a Western it's not, because what's the family in the West is completely different what's the family here. So we have one disadvantage to catch up. And maybe it's needed some sort of therapy in the West itself before coming, so that we can set accounts with our own past, you know. So.
Can you share a little bit about your experience of online teaching?
Yeah. So when I started these online teachings, there were nobody doing it actually, you know. And I only did it because I had two thoughts in my mind. First is that Shri Shankaracharya wrote the Bhasha because there were no camera recorder. Because if there was, he would probably record himself, telling, explaining everything. Because it's much easier for the mind when it sees, it hears, it has the sensation of what is happening. And the second is that in the West, the majority of people from my generation of study would listen to Pujya Swami de cassettes and would listen to Paramarthananda Ji and other big Swamis that would send the recordings. And I thought just the same thing. If these masters would have an opportunity to give the knowledge in a better way, they would also give. So, if I can read a book, if I can listen to a recorder, why not I can watch a video? That would make sense. But then there was one thing that made a lot of difference when I started teaching. That is, I figured out a technology where I was able to see all my students and they will all see each other and see me at the same time. Like a mass Skype system, you know. And this created in me a lot of confidence, because one thing is to listen to a recording and the other thing is to the teacher see you while you are listening. So I created this system together with a group of friends and I started to teach on this mode. But in the beginning, was only when there was a lot of traffic and rain in Rio. That's a very huge city like Bombay. And so that people could see from home. I would not even record. After some time, people just figure out that if they go home, instead of going to the institute, they would arrive there 2 hours later, because one of traffic, one of class. They will be more like relaxed watching the classes. And they're not losing anything, because actually I'm seeing them and talking to them. And then everybody went back. Everybody. So nobody wanted anymore to watch the class there in the institute. And the institute suddenly became an online institute. But at the same time, this was a little bit difficult for my mind, because I did not learn like that. So it was a test. And then what I did, I created some sort of program where the online classes were always combined with some sort of retreat. And also in a retreat you have much more contact and exchange than in a normal class that you see like once a week in somebody's home, you know, because it's a regular class. So suddenly it became more powerful, because people would spend 15 days with me every day, and the rest of the weeks of the year we will meet online. So this was the model. After 1 year, I checked. I also sent my students to other teachers so that they could have the sensation, what they know, how they act, and everybody said a lot of good things. Then this started to expand. So this is the model that I use. What are the challenges? I think the first challenge is that the internet makes everything too available. And the secret of the study is that the person has to submit to the teacher. It has to decide to do the option of becoming a student, and also to expose himself, you know. So what I would say is that we have to create a lot of measures, even online, so that the person really has to decide to study, and not like by chance see a video. Maybe we can put a video on YouTube so that people can know what Vedanta is, but if he wants to become your student, he'll have to contact you, then you have to talk, then the relation starts. You know? And if you really think about every relation now is like online. Even with my mother, I speak online. Why not with a student? You know?
Can you give some advice or guidance on what kind of an approach the student needs to take when approaching the teacher and approaching his knowledge?
Well, I will answer thinking about an Indian audience and also Western audience. So, for an Indian audience, I will first say that don't be so spiritual about the whole process, because you can get caught in your fantasies, and maybe the whole shraddha that you already carry will block your intellect to really think about what the person is saying, whatever he wants to give you, what is the reflection that you have to do. Because inspiring words, there are thousands of hundreds here in India, you know. But really good teachers that will help you overcome your problematic mind, just a few. And if you don't pay attention and look for what the person is saying, because maybe he's in orange, maybe he is like an accomplished person, very famous, and you may feel away from him, this could be a big problem. So the first thing I would say is that open up, stay in the ground, and with a very sharp intellect, go and ask him. Ask him further information about how to know yourself. Make the inquiry like the mainstream of your study. In the West, people are already like this. They don't trust anything, not even their mother. So I would say, in the West, I would say differently. That is an expected attitude that we all should have if we want to receive something that is so sacred. So I know that a lot of people have cheated on us spiritually, religiously, but still, if you have the hope to understand something that is traditional and sacred, you need to find this connection with God, with the tradition inside of you, and through this feeling, connect to the teacher. You're not even connecting to the teacher itself. The teacher is just a channel for you to find some answers that you are looking for. So with that objectiveness and with that open heart, you go to the teacher and approach him. That's what I would say.
There is a lot of confusion about yoga and Vedanta. What do you see as the role of yoga, Ashtanga yoga, in preparation of the mind?
Being a classical traditional teacher, we have to say that the yoga is a preparation for the mind that will, some point or the other, lead us to self-inquiry, to Vedanta, to self-knowledge. But if we think about how yoga is being popularized and everything, yoga can become a new religion also. Like people could simply do the asanas, and inside of this asana situation, create a philosophy of itself and say that there is no happiness possible, that everything that is available is this body, and become a little bit materialist also, you know. I have seen, for example, in this Ashtanga yoga of Pattabhi Jois, it has a model where they have like different levels. You can have the first series, second series, third series, and people really think that your objective is to reach the fourth series. But really, if Pattabhi Jois was a clever guy, and I suppose this master was, the purpose is to have vairagya, you know, because even the first series is very complete. You can get all your help with the first series. So what is this purpose? There should be something else behind it. Like the ego should stop its search for becoming the first, the best, and at the same time use this force to grow. So it's like if yoga is like a kingdom garden of the whole process, is where you're going to enter the class and try to become fit, or maybe you're going to compare yourself to the person that is stretching beside you. It's like a lab, you know. But there you should be conducted to something more profound, you know. So I think that we may face this problem in some years, like yoga as being unfavorable for self-inquiry. It could be, you know. So we have to be attentive.
Janice, what would your guidance be for those who have been exposed to Vedanta for more than 10 years?
Oh. Okay. For the newcomers, you know, the idea is be open, enjoy the study. Go to every teacher that you can. Ears open, listen everything, because you have to find inside yourself your way. Because you are beginning the process, so who do you really trust? Where is the place where I can really connect and grow? And don't try to choose by what is comfortable. Think about your growth always. So this is like for the person who is just starting. If the person is studying already for some years, you know, I think that the biggest challenge that we face is that we don't take the study serious anymore, because it can become like just habitual. I go to the dentist, I do one Vedanta class, and I cook, and then I go back home. But Vedanta is not supposed to be like that, you know, in the same category of your other activities, just because you do it every week, you know. So Vedanta is about finding the simple and spontaneous and happy person that lives inside me. So it's something that if I do, it will benefit my whole family. It will benefit myself. It will take care of a lot of disease that I may get in the future. It will take out my competitiveness. It will give me more relaxed and happy life. So this should not be treated as I'm going to brush my teeth and listen to Vedanta. That does not work like this. No? So we have to remind us of this sincerity. And then, what I would say, go for the sadhanas. Because puja, japa, meditation, all this will bring up this attitude in your life towards this knowledge and Vedanta. If you already study for long years, like 10 years, then I would suggest differently. Because if you're exposed for a long time, and the Vedanta pramana, like the means of knowledge, really works, you should have already finished your studies. Really speaking, because it does not take 20, 30 years for you to understand the meaning, you know. So something is not in place. Maybe you did not took care of the sadhanas correctly. So the mind is not prepared for the understanding that should happen. Maybe there are some vasanas to be taken care of in terms of vyavahara, like my connection with my family, with my child, with myself. Actually, is a connection with our own past, you know. But these vasanas could be very strong. So sometimes it's better to give a really good shake on this instead of trying to study more and more and more, because 10 years has passed, 20 years has passed, you know. And the third point is that understand that there is, when we think about a 3-year course or any serious commitment that you have, when you decide to do it in another pace, it will give you another depth. So it will never be the same to study, let's suppose, 1 year every day, morning and evening, or to expand this 1 year in 20 years. Both things have benefits, both things has disadvantages also. So if you already tried this, I would say prepare yourself so that you can be in some sort of intensive study, because this is the last thing you can do also, you know. So that would be my advice.
In the Arshavidya tradition, we see a lot of full-time sannyasis and very few full-time grahasthas. As one full-time, as a grahastha who is committed to this knowledge and sharing and teaching full-time, what would you like to share about your lifestyle and how you feel about the whole thing?
Good question. Well, first of all, I feel very blessed because I know how a grihastha life can be difficult. And thanks to Dakshinamurti's blessings, I am able to have enough students to sustain myself and to have a, let's say, a fair process of teaching also, because this knowledge cannot be really charged for, no? You cannot really have a commercial approach to it. So it has to be some special blessing so that we are able to help people without this, let's say, commercial approach of I have to sustain myself, and at the same time to be able to take care of a home, children, wife, and everything. So first I feel very blessed. And every time that I teach, I feel that also that I'm learning. So this also I get my second blessing, because it's like if my 3-year course is going on, it's still going on. When I study, I feel like if Pujya Swami is with me, and I'm just reviewing everything that he once told me, and this is something very unique. Inside the Parampara also, of course, there are a lot of people that have a lot of problems. The Orthodox, they will say, no, you are not a Swami, you cannot teach this and that. What I used to say is, ask the student, because the student can go and study with you and can come and study with me. If he is studying with me, it's his choice. Because when I started, it was very important that my teacher was a Grihasta. Because I'm from the West, I never saw a person in orange. So when I saw a normal person studying, it shows me, teaching, it showed me that I could also learn. He was not different than me, you know. Maybe for a Indian person, it's different, but for a Western, it makes a lot of sense. So I don't feel that anything is inappropriate. And also, some Swamis and Swaminis in India that are my friends and know me, they also give me a lot of love and support, what really helped me to see that I'm not doing anything wrong. So I feel like very strong in what I'm doing. And there is one other special thing, that is because the life of the Grihasta is full of colors, full of emotions, full of challenges, the students also live this challenge together with me. So it's another type of teaching also. So maybe next year we'll have a child, you know, and my students will see how I treat my child. It's very interesting. It's a different way of approaching. You know? So I'm like, I feel very blessed because of that. And really, it's just a big blessing to be able to teach Vedanta and at the same time be a Grihasta. And also, Bhagavan Krishna says in the Gita, Lokesmin Nivida Nishta Pura Prukta Maya Nagha Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam Karma Yogena Yoginam Na Karma Namanarambat Naishkarmyam Purushoshnute Nacha Sanyasana Deva Siddhim Samadhigachyati Nahi Kashchit Kshanamapi Jatu Tishtatya Karma Krite Karyate Hashavah Karma Sarvah Prakriti Jair Gunehi, etc., etc., etc. Basically, it's telling us that this, when Krishna is saying, when I did create the Jagat, there was 2 lifestyles available. One, Jnana Yoga, where you take this lifestyle of dedicating yourself only to knowledge and nothing more. And the other, Karma Yoga, where you can have normal activities as a Grihasta, for example, and at the same time, you are going for the same objective. So, really speaking, when you start to see, you start to think that there is a difference in life because you are in white or in orange, you are equivocated. You are in a fantasy. It's just a lifestyle. So how do you want to live? What do you want from your life? If you want to dedicate 100% of time for knowledge, there is a way in the society for that. If you want to do other things at the same time, there is a way. What is useful for you, it's up to you. Sankhya yoga pritak bala pravadantina pandita ekam apyastita samyaka ubayor vindate palam. And both Sankhya yoga, both paths, both lifestyles lead to the same place. Whoever say it does not, na pandita, these people are not really wise. They are just in some sort of fantasy. Think about why Ishvara would create the Jagat if it were not for you to receive this knowledge.
What is the most common myth related to Vedanta that you have encountered?
Well, definitely the idea that after studying Vedanta, you will meditate and reach moksha. This is like the biggest myth that the Vedanta students carry. And basically, this comes because there is not still enough understanding. So, and the ego does not want to accept that there is still something to learn. So what it does, it says, I already have the knowledge, but I'm not free. But knowledge is freedom, and you cannot have the knowledge without being free. So then you create an alternative. I have the knowledge, but I'm not free because of my vasanas. So now I have to meditate. So then a lot of people go into that. I studied everything, even Brahma Sutra. And what are you doing right now? Meditate. Why? You are free. The person who is meditating is free. But at the same time, the knowledge is not complete. So it's like in the end, it's a big joke. But when we are there, it's very serious. It's one of the things that was there in my mind when I was studying. Another myth that people have is that whatever you drop will stay there. You know, like whenever you decide that you have vairagya, then you have quit, the thing stays there, but it's not like that. You know, for example, if you decide, I'm not going to, don't know, drink Coke. This is one of my cases, because I thought so ridiculous. I wanted to become a Swami for some time. And then I thought it would be so ridiculous to be a Swami addicted to Coke. So I decided first I will drop Coke and then become a Swami. Then I saw it was not possible, because I put the Coke there and it comes back, you know. So there is a habit inside of us, a force. So the idea that vairagya is out of choice, it's not true. Vairagya meaning disattachment, detachment. It's not true. Actually, you have to grow. Once you grow on your own understanding of food and taste, maybe you are able to keep the Coke there and don't drink it inside, you know. So it's not a matter of just choosing. Whatever you have to drop in life will drop when the maturity comes. There is not an action. Vairagya, detachment, it's not an action. You recognize that whatever you want to drop is already not with you. Then, whatever you do, even sannyasa, is just a symbol of something that already happened, not symbol of something that you want, you know. So this is a big myth, because people think that they can just drop the life, drop family, drop everything, and then they keep crying in the ashram, where is my mother, I feel so lonely. Come on, no, that's not the right thing to go.
Throughout your talk, you kept mentioning the word growth.
Growth.
Can you elaborate a little bit on what you mean when you say growth?
Well, growth, like the word yoga, it's a very broad word. You can put a lot of things inside of it. But when we talk about growth, we are telling basically that this person, not the subject I, but this person that is here, this character, has a history, has a past, has a way of thinking, a way of dealing with the Jagat. And we always start our life, as Pujya Swamiji would say, as survivors, ninjas, that have to push everyone aside, to control everything, to survive and become meaningful, become someone special for your own self and in the eyes of the others. So this type of attitude of this character is what is considered immature. So you are childish. Why? Because you are trying to be special in a Jagat where everybody is the same. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody is just equal to each other. So why are you trying to be special? Why are you trying to be recognized? By whom? So there is an immaturity that we all carry. So when the knowledge comes, the knowledge will show that you are not this character. You are not this person that is traveling in this Jagat and doing a lot of things. But at the same time, for this character to own this knowledge, it has to go through a process of growth, where instead of being a survivor, it becomes a contributor, becomes someone that is able really to look around and just love their family, love their friends, love whoever they meet in the street, love their own self. So this path to love, relatively speaking, is what we call growth. So maybe we can say that it's connected to therapy, maybe we can say that it's connected to a balance of energy, we can say, but we can also say broadly as growth. Thank you. It was my pleasure, and I'm very happy to be here with you.